You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to The Lyndia Grant Show. We are so glad you're here with us this Friday. It has been a 4th of July weekend, and although 4th of July is on Thursday, people are going to be celebrating all through the weekend, traveling, flying, driving, enjoying family, enjoying friends. So, but we're here doing what we always do, providing information for you. We've already got our second guest lined up. Her name is Dawn. She is a small business operator out of Montgomery County, and we're going to interview her after we talk to Dr. Julian Malvo. In case someone who's listening don't know, this is Lyndia Grant on Radio 1 Spirit 1340, WYCB, the oldest gospel station in the nation. We've been around more than 40 years. And now we're going to talk to Dr. Julian, who is a world traveler, speaker, working with the Rainbow Coalition on the children's program. I can't think of the name of it today, but anyway, you all know what I'm talking about. Push Excel, I think it is.
Absolutely.
And she's been working. I'm trying to do it without a script, you all, so I might mess up from time to time. Yeah. But she's also been the president of Bennett College. She's one of the 2 emeritus and dean. And she speaks anywhere in the world. You never know where she's going to be. Let's talk to Dr. Julian Malvo about all of this stuff that got me so concerned. I've been watching movies. I can't take it, Dr. J.
I know. I understand where you're coming from. A lot of people are very concerned. But let's just talk about why. Last Thursday, there was a much-touted CNN debate between President Joe Biden and the former president. CNN promoted this thing, most historic debate, et cetera. I think they raised expectations very high. Nothing could basically meet the hype that they gave. Now, let's be honest. President Biden did a very poor job during the debate. But guess what? The other man didn't do anything but lie from the beginning of the time he opened his mouth to the time he closed it. There was a novelist back in Lillian Hellman, back in the early part of the 20th century, and a woman who didn't get along with her once said, everything she says is a lie, including the and the and. That's how I felt about Mr. Trump. Everything he said was a lie. The challenge was that President Biden did not push back hard enough. Now, his staff said he had a cold. That may well be the truth. But it's opened up a can of worms, rabid speculations. Should he be replaced on the ticket? Should he step down? Many Democrats are calling for him to be removed from the ticket. Some of his friends, including New York Times columnist Tom Friedman, have said, no, it's time for him to go. The newspapers have editorialized that it's time for him to go. But first of all, he's still the president. Let me repeat that. He is still the president. And I'm saying that because some people are acting like he has no role in this. He cannot be removed from the ticket unless he chooses to remove himself from the ticket. Again, he would have to say, I don't want to be on the ticket. And then the DNC would do whatever they do. And presumably the vice president, Kamala Harris, would be the choice. But, you know, there's a little racism and a little sexism going on here, so people keep talking about an open process, et cetera. In any case, it is really it's gotten out of control. Too many people are calling, without hearing from him, calling for his removal from the ticket. Now, we saw him last Thursday was horrible. That's the only way we could put it, horrible. But the following day, he led a rally in North Carolina, and he sounded as good as he ever had. And since then, he's been out a couple of times talking. Now, the ones who don't like him will say, well, he's on the teleprompter. Well, he still sounds good. And quite frankly, sometimes presidents should be on the teleprompter. We wish we could keep the other man to the teleprompter. Jim Zogby, who's a member of the Democratic National Committee, has made a suggestion of a process to replace Biden that he says will be an orderly process. And we're hearing proposals from all kind of people. But, just like we saw President Biden not do the best job, can anyone say that what the other man did was a good job?
Mm-mm.
I mean, he lied from cover to cover. He seemed unstable to me, and I'm not a therapist, just saying.
And to me. Mm-hmm.
The Philadelphia Inquirer said if anybody should go, it ought to be Trump. They wrote an editorial. They said they keep hearing about Biden has to go. What about Trump? And then, of course, some people, do you throw somebody under the bus because they had one bad night? Now
No.
some people say it's more than one bad night, but that's a question that we have to ask. The most recent defector as of Tuesday was Lloyd Doggett. He's a senior member of Congress from Texas. He's urging the president to step down. We're going to have to play this one out, but I would encourage people who are Democrats and who support President Biden to cut some of this claptrap noise and to really talk about what he has done, what he can do. And yes, there are concerns about his age, but there ought to be concerns about everybody's age and a number of other things. So this is where we are. The debate continues to rage. The other thing I would say, Lyndia, is that the media has played, in my mind, a very negative role here. Has the New York Times ever editorialized about anybody else having to go? Or some of these other major newspapers. CNN has every evening since the debate, 10 people. Biden must go.
And Dr. Julian, I got to say this. What about when Trump got indicted for 34 counts? Did all the newspapers say he needs to be taken off the slate? No.
Not a one. So it's a double standard. It's almost as if they are paid representatives of basically the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. I've been very disappointed by many of them. But that's where we are. That's what we've got going on. It's challenging. It's upsetting. But it is, as we always say, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now we have to move to the Supreme Court. And for anybody who says they don't want to vote, they don't like to vote, this is what we got because you don't like to vote. Number one, they found that presidents have immunity. Now they have selective immunity, but anything they do in the performance of their duties is considered they're immune. Now, one might say that in performance of his duties, Mr. Trump paid a porn star. One might say that in performance of his duties, he incited that riot on January 6th. The Supreme Court wrote in very weak language, but Sonia Sotomayor was time enough for them. She said, you basically created a crime zone where the president can do whatever he wants, and we belong to a country whose founding principles were that no one was above the law. They have placed this man above the law. And if you go back to look at Hamilton, at Alexander Hamilton, one of the things they said, that when they founded the country, we don't want a king. King George in England was the king. They said, we don't want a king. We don't want a dictator. But this is what we're moving towards. That is that's pretty bad, but there are a couple other things that happen that are equally concerning. The Chevron doctrine, which basically was passed in 1984, so that administrative agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, OSHA, that those administrations will be the ones to adjudicate small things, that they were more qualified to do this than judges were. Well, Chief Justice Roberts said no, they have no special expertise, and basically they have nullified the Chevron decision, which means now people can take differences that might have been adjudicated by the Food and Drug Administration, they can take them to court. So we're looking at all kinds of things. We're looking at regulation on tobacco. We're looking at Medicaid. We're looking at a number of things that are very concerning. Equally concerning, Mr. Injustice Thomas has opined openly that we don't need an Office of Safety and Health, Occupational Safety and Health, which is part of the Department of Labor, that he believes that its very existence is unconstitutional. what does OSHA do? It makes sure that children are working on big pieces of equipment. It deals with issues of how factories are cleaned and what they look like. That it is a very vital agency, especially for low-wage workers. And he says, he was just eliminated. What we see is power shifting, really from an administrative state, which makes sense, to a dictatorship. And if you read Project 2025, and I know listeners are tired of me talking about it, because if you check it out, you will be tired of what they want to do. You'll be resisting what they want to do. So the Supreme Court, well, we know what happened. The Orange Man appointed 3 justices. One he rushed through, and they are basically marching in lockstep with, of course, Mr. Injustice Thomas, the most conservative on the court, doing his thing. Now, a couple other quick things. Hurricane Beryl hit Grenada on Monday.
Only got 1 minute.
One? I thought I had 3. Okay, well, let's just, Hurricane Beryl hit the Caribbean. There are going to be a lot of damages. We all have friends in the Caribbean. Many of us are from the Caribbean. Grenada, Jamaica, there are many, many islands that are being affected. 90% of the homes in Grenada, St. Vincent, have been destroyed. It's a Category 5. It's gone down to a Category 4. It'll probably hit Jamaica in the middle of the week, and we don't know what the damage is going to be, but it's going to be significant damage. And some of it may get here to the United States, but it won't get here with the severity that it is. So we have to be concerned about our brothers and sisters in the island. And, of course, we have, if other people are elected, we don't know what kind of humanitarian aid we're going to be willing to offer them. So that's it for me, Lyndia.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Julian. I'm thinking about it right now. I know I'm taking up some more time thinking about when 45 was over there throwing out paper towels.
Absolutely.
Let us move on. All right. We're going to go to our commercial break. Thank you, Dr. Julian. We're going to go to our commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired." But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it. Be inspired.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. We are back from our commercial break now. Now, we're going to go to our second guest. How are you today? Dawn R. Medley, President and CEO of SSC First. How are you today?
I am well and glad to be here.
Welcome to the show. We are going to talk to Dawn Medley, and I'll go to the last paragraph of her bio just to say her stewardship of grant programs, technical assistance, and other financial services put momentum behind promising community businesses, and that's throughout the state of Maryland. Her company helps small businesses. So let me just read her bio and then we'll start our interview. Dawn Medley is an industry thought leader with over 20 years of expertise in public and private funding programs. She provides day-to-day leadership and oversight. Her responsibilities include budgeting, physical and internal controls, staffing, strategic planning, resource development, grant writing, fundraising, marketing, business development, developing and achieving the annual work action plan. Sounds like if you're a small business, you all need to talk to Dawn if you don't already know how to do this. Medley oversees marketing and promotion, developing economic development policies, and lending programs to support Prince George's County's public policy goals and initiatives. She guides all human resource decisions, volunteer recruitment, and strategic planning partnership relationships. Over the course of her career, she has developed, implemented, and managed operations in several funding sectors, including commercial banking, economic development, and small business finance. A subject matter expert in the U.S. Small Business Administration's 504 and 7A loan guarantee programs, she champions local entrepreneurship, managing a complex portfolio of over $60 million in assets that broaden the commercial tax base, retain and attract jobs, increases the growth of key industry sectors, and support energy conservation. At FSC First, Medley's strategic guidance elevates the outcomes for underserved businesses and geographic areas identified for investment, and her company provides services throughout the state of Maryland. Now, all right, so now that we got that out there, help break that down and help us to understand a little bit more in layman's terms what it is your company does, Dawn.
Thank you. In layman's terms, FSC First, because we are a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution, and a CDC, that just means that we are passionate about entrepreneurship. And we have built relationships with funders who provide funding dollars specifically for small and underrepresented businesses. Businesses in particular who have not been able to get bank loans, as well as businesses who are underbanked. And many of our programs focus on uplifting small minority and women-owned businesses with a focus on making sure that everyone has equal access to financing opportunities.
Okay. Now, tell me, are you affiliated with the government or are you a standalone firm?
We are actually a nonprofit. Our legal name is Prince George's Financial Services Corporation, and we are considered a quasi-county agency. Much like the Economic Development Corporation, Employ Prince George's, Explore Prince George's, Experience Prince George's, we are the non-profit, non-agency agencies. So we're all part of the county exec's cabinet, but we're actually independent nonprofits.
Oh, okay. That sounds great. my company was similar to that when I was in business full time in DC. So, but this time we're providing services to those in Maryland. And I'm happy to do that because we talk about DC most of the time in my 15 years in being on Radio 1. So this is a good thing. Dawn, tell us some success stories, some businesses that you have helped in some of the successes that have come along.
Well, two businesses in particular. We have a technical assistance program. It's just 24 months old. And during that time, just in the past 12 months, we've assisted nearly 2,200 businesses.
Wow.
And we've
great.
Provided technical assistance for them, training, coaching, mentoring, networking, and access to the professional services to support and build their businesses. And one thing that we wanted to make sure we did is businesses coming through that program, if they wanted to be able to access capital, once they've gone through the program, we wanted to be the vehicle so that they can do that. So the program's called Level Up, and they were able to level up to a loan because we were able to meet those businesses where they are, wherever they were in their business cycle. And one example is the Cosmo Lounge. Entrepreneur Tanya Michelle. She participated as part of our Level Up program in our 0 to 100 Small Business Accelerator, and she was a finalist in the pitch competition. And as a result, she later received one of our Shelley Grossway Legacy Grant Awards, which gave her additional cash support for her business. And she was also able to level up to a loan, and she was able to receive a small business loan from FSC First to fund her new salon location. And then we also coming through the program, Leveling Up to a Loan, which was HBCU Leggings, women-owned business that, as the name says, is an apparel and fashion company providing leggings and athletic wear for, representing HBCUs throughout the country. We provided a small business loan for them as well, and they were able to have a one-on-one business coach through our program. And that business now holds licenses with 8 HBCUs and achieves distribution in major retailers because of the assistance and their tenacity as business owners.
Oh, that is so great. Dawn, I probably need to talk to you because my foundation, Gamma Phi Delta Foundation, is hosting an event in Birmingham July 31st, and our focus is HBCUs. So if you don't mind, I know you'll be busy, but give me a call when you're off so we can talk this week. All right. Dawn, give us a closing on what people can do or how they can contact you if they are in small business and they need your assistance.
Absolutely. The Level Up program, the best way to reach us is fscfirst.com. That's F as in financial, S as in services, C as in corporation, the word first spelled out. It's all one word, fscfirst.com. From there, you can put in the search bar, or it'll probably come up in a banner, the Level Up program. Just click Learn More, and you'll be able to see our class curriculum. Our class curriculum has many, many topics like financial management systems, key documentation for your business, accounting systems, financial statements and ratios, and even how to get through the loan application process. We can provide services for you like building your business plan and tax preparation and accounting, all things you need for the business of doing business. What goes on in the back office is just as important as what goes on out front, delivering your service or delivering your expertise to the community and to your customers. Right now, we're running classes in July that have to do with how to do business in the state of Maryland, and also what is your business's value proposition? What is it about your company or services that makes you in a better position to be of value to your customers' needs? And those are the classes that we're running in the month of July. So again, go to our website, fscfirst.com, and of course, like and follow us and on all social media platforms. And when you go to our website, be sure to sign up for our newsletter.
Okay, Dawn, a quick question and give me a short answer.
Okay.
Can someone who want to start a business who only has a business plan and has never started before? Can they talk to you, or do you have to be already in a small business, maybe in your first few years?
So if you're in your first few years, this program is eligible for you. We like to see where businesses are and kind of fit them into the program that's best for them, or provide them with some, coaching to kind of steer them in which direction they should be focusing on.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it then. I tell you, I am so grateful that you were my guest today. I thank Mia for keeping me up with everything. And if you have any closing comments, you can say those now. Otherwise, I'm going to close.
I'll just say that the best time to prepare to borrow is before you need the money. So make sure you reach out to fscfirst.com so that you are able to prepare for any capital needs you may need in the future, or just to make sure your back of house is in order right now.
All right, that does it. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Dawn Medley, President and CEO of FSC. I am so grateful to have her on. I worked a lot with the services similar to hers in Washington, D.C., so I'm so happy that I was able to help people in the state of Maryland and in particular Prince George's County. All right, that does it. We're going to go to our close now. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show each week. We've been on the air for 15 years trying to get good information out to our listeners, and I always close with this. Words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect, so be careful what you send out. You do become what you think about, and Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. From the Lyndia Grant Show, I thank you for tuning in. Until next week, good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.